Alright guys, this is Nordrammus here. Now after a relatively disappointing Season 6, with the introduction of Dynamic Queue and Autofill, I'm really looking forward to Season 7 where they're bringing back Solo and Duo Queue, and also this new Ranked Flex Queue, which sounds quite interesting. But obviously before the new season comes out, we're going to have about a month of Preseason. Now I always find Preseason an odd time. They still have the ranked queues available, but it just seems that half the people playing that queue really just don't care about the games. They almost treat those games like normal games. So it's not a true ranked experience as we know it. As it stands, this preseason is going to be one of the shortest preseasons ever, being only a month, where some preseasons have been 2 or 3 months. And Riot have also announced playing ranked in this season is going to directly affect the rank you get placed in after your placements next season. Now all that's been said, I want to get on some tips I can give you guys to sort of make the most out of the preseason, because the preseason is an interesting time and it's a time where you can really grow as a player, I suppose. Because there's no ranked, you can try out a lot of different things. In this video I'm going to give you some tips to hopefully help you improve in the preseason and start ranked afresh as a better player. So my first and honestly biggest tip I can give you in the preseason is this is the optimal time of year to practice your new champions and your new roles in a ranked setting basically. Whilst the rank you get in the preseason does somewhat affect the rank you get placed in next season, the biggest deciding factor of where you get placed next season is basically your rank already, the rank you've already got secured. So don't worry about your rank too much, pick up some new champions, some new roles, play that role to death if you're not very confident with it, if you want to get better at it, if you want to try some new champions in that role, if you want to try a new playstyle. Try out in ranked. Really gauge where your skill level is at and try and work on it in the preseason. This is by far the best time of year to do it. If you get halfway through the real season and you want to change roles, that becomes a lot more difficult. The preseason is by far the best time of year to do it. Now if I was to add anything to this point, I would say if there are any champions that are kind of your demon, maybe you think, I hate playing against Rise, I have no idea how to play against Rise, I just don't know what that champion does. He just seems to mash all the buttons on his keyboard and just kill me. I don't know how to play against Rise, for instance. If you have demon champions like that, I would say the best thing you can possibly do to learn how to beat that champion is basically to learn how to play that champion. If you know how to play that champion, you'll start to learn that champion's limits, the kind of damage it will do, the kind of CC it has, the kind of cooldowns that champion has. And that is honestly the best way to learn to counter a champion. So in the preseason, if you've got any demons, I would say at least learn one of those champions to make that matchup a lot easier for yourself and take a lot of the weight off yourself when you come into real ranked games against that champion. The next thing I want to touch on is going to be push your limits and challenge yourself. Now this is something that's going to be different for every player, but let's be honest, everyone knows that they have some kind of weakness when they go into their games, their ranked games for instance, that they could definitely work on. The preseason is a perfect time for this, so I want you to think in your head something you're particularly bad at. Maybe you're not very good at CSing. Maybe you're not very good at objective control. Maybe you play team fights badly. Maybe you're not good at split pushing, for instance. There are loads and loads of different things you can work on in League of Legends, and everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. So I think it's really good to try and pinpoint your own weaknesses and basically go into a normal game in the preseason where LP does not matter and literally just really focus on doing that one thing. If you're bad at CSing, just say, alright, I'm going to try and get, let's say 8 CS per minute, and right now I'm getting like 4 CS per minute or something quite low. And literally just say, right, I'm not going to bother about trading, I'm not going to worry how I play team fights, I'm literally just going to focus on my CSing as hard as I can in that one game. Because obviously in a ranked game, you can't do this, you can't just say, alright, I'm just going to CS and nothing else. That's not good for you. But if you do CSing and nothing else in one game, that means in the next game you play, where you're focusing on the whole game, your CSing will naturally be better because you've had that ingrained training in CSing, if you know what I mean. So that's my next tip basically. Just focus really hard on one specific part of the game, or maybe you can rotate your different weaknesses and just focus on each of those weaknesses individually. Because that means when you come back to the game later on, all those things will kind of come together and you'll be a better player because of it, because you've had that kind of strict training. And the last point I really want to touch on is basically just do whatever you can to familiarise yourself with all the new updates. Obviously we've got all these assassin reworks coming out, and also we've got big changes coming to the jungle. I'm sure there'll be more released in the preseason as well. So you'll basically be giving yourself a leg up if you can sort of learn these updates for yourself, because I know a lot of people just simply don't play much in the preseason. If you know all about the updates and how to play around them when the real season comes, you'll have a massive leg up over those people who simply haven't played in the preseason, or have basically kept playing the same 5 champions in the preseason as they played in the regular season. If you know something about all the assassins that are being reworked, you don't have to know how to play them all, but just something about them all, and maybe how to jungle in the new preseason, or if they're keeping these ridiculous plants in, maybe learn how the plant mechanics work. And that will give you a big advantage in solo queue coming in the next season. So it's definitely worth doing. So do your best to learn the new updates, and that will give you a big advantage. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I've been Nordrammus as always. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. It really helps me out. It really does help me out. So I'll see you again in another video.